Kia ora, this is Arun Jacob, your friendly and frank licensed New Zealand immigration advisor as well as education advisor. We ran a recent poll on our Facebook group, which is quite popular with international students who want to come and study in New Zealand, as well as people who want to migrate directly to New Zealand without having to study, or with people who want to come here and work here without having to undertake the study pathway. And we ran a poll asking, how many of you actually follow the work we do in this group, and a lot of people responded saying, yeah, we follow the work. But there was something interesting that happened. One of the people who is part of the group, actually added one more option to the answers, and it said, I follow your group, but I'm a little concerned with the fact that you guys seem to suggest the study pathway even for people who are asking for migration pathway. I think it's a very, very good question. And the fact is, every migration inquiry that comes to us or work inquiry that comes to us, we do undertake an assessment. As you're aware, I'm a licensed immigration advisor, and all these requests for migration or work come to my table, and I have a look at them. And after making an assessment is when we come back and tell you that you're not qualifying for direct migration, or why there will be a challenge in trying to find work directly in New Zealand, and how you can opt for the other pathway, which is to study and settle in New Zealand. So this is not some devious way of pushing everybody into the study pathway, but the government of New Zealand has devised a policy which makes it reasonably difficult for most people to make a direct resident visa application. Just off the top of my head, I can say that you need to get 160 points, which is a combination of your age, your qualification, your work experience, and in what areas of or subject areas that your qualification is, or your work experience is, and whether you're married and whether your spouse is a graduate, or what level of education. So it's a reasonably tough metrics of points to cross and pass, especially for people from countries which are not considered as a comparable labor market to New Zealand. So it's a reasonably tough wall to climb, and that's the reason a lot of migration inquiries that come to us do not qualify for direct migration. And of course, a lot of people ask and say, hey, look, I want to work in New Zealand, and I would like to come there and work directly without having to study there. And I have made a video about this and explained why it is very challenging for most people to try and find work directly in New Zealand when you're not even present in the country. So for both these sets of people, whether you're seeking direct migration as a skilled migrant, or even if you're seeking migration as an entrepreneur, it is always a good idea to first come and explore New Zealand for a little while on a legitimate visa. Give yourself at least a couple of years of time to be able to understand the culture, the geography, the weather, the work practices, and other things that are prevalent and are very particular to New Zealand. And that's the reason, more often than not, we have been suggesting that you must choose this pathway of coming as a student. Make a small investment of the fee, because if you're coming for the right level of course, then you will also end up getting a 1-year post-study work visa. So you can have a good 2-year platform or longer, because if during the post-study work visa period, if you actually end up getting a job that is relevant and at the right salary and designation level, then there's a very good chance that your work visa could get extended, or if you're really fortunate, you might even end up getting the resident visa. So that is the reason we follow this process of looking at all migration inquiries. And more often than not, I can, as a licensed immigration advisor, I can look at a profile and within a couple of minutes pass my assessment and say that you will not qualify for migration, or that you will not be able to find direct work in New Zealand. And that's the reason what I do, or most of my team members under my guidance will come back and suggest to you, is that you do not qualify for migration, or nor will you be able to find work directly in New Zealand. Why don't you consider the study plus settle pathway? So this is not a policy that I devised. It's a policy that the government of New Zealand has devised, and it seems to be a very, very smart policy, because what's happening is a lot of people who seek to migrate to New Zealand, or seek to work and migrate to New Zealand, are actually forced to get into the study pathway, which means the government gets good revenue from international students. And after they complete their course, if they do have the caliber to be able to find work and transition slowly into a work visa and then into resident visa, it's a win-win for the government, or a double bonus for the government of New Zealand, because now we are also getting workers and residents who actually have spent time in New Zealand and who understand the way things are done in New Zealand. So I think it's actually a very, very smart policy, and hats off to the people who devised this particular policy. But what it means, unfortunately, for a lot of you who are seeking direct migration or wanting to work in New Zealand, is that you will not be able to do it directly. And which is the reason a company like AJB makes a suggestion that, hey, look, why don't you consider the study plus settle pathway? I mean, we have always been honest and open with all you guys. If you check the rest of my videos, we're absolutely open about everything, and we absolutely, look you in the eye and state facts. If it is difficult for certain people to come to New Zealand, we tell you and suggest that you should not be considering going overseas because you're simply not ready to do it. So we are those kind of people, who will look you in the eye and make the right suggestions. So please do not ever think that we are being devious and pushing everybody who comes to us for migration or work, and we are pushing them into the study pathway. If you go through the Facebook group and scroll down and through some of the comments, you will see that every once in a while we actually, or I, because I run that group mostly, I actually write comments saying that, hey, look, it looks like you will qualify for migration. Why don't we go to the next step and do a proper thorough analysis or assessment of your candidature? So yeah, we try and give the right solution to the right client. So if you're a client who is seeking migration but do not qualify for it, then of course we will make other suggestions. Even for people who have money and they say they intend to set up businesses in New Zealand, it is always my suggestion saying, I think you really need to come and first understand New Zealand before you make a large investment, and be here onshore, study the situation before you make large investments of time, money, or effort. So that's the advantage of the study plus settle pathway, because for a reasonably small investment, you would be able to be present in New Zealand legitimately and understand everything here before you seek out to go on to become either a migrant or a resident or a worker or an entrepreneur. So that's the advantage of coming in as an international student. I hope I have clarified it, and I look forward to receiving your comments, and will be happy to make more videos to address your concerns and your queries. And as always, thanks for watching my videos, and please do share it with your family and friends as well. And I look forward to making more and sharing them with all of you. Kia ora.